All right, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Hey, excited to be with you. And it has been a bit. People have been asking, hey, where have I been? Well, I had a little bit of a family vacation. In fact, I posted a little bit of it up there on the Instagram and the Facebook story. And I had a good time up in Yellowstone with the family. So hopefully you guys are doing great and excited to be with you. So with that, I yesterday drove for over 10 hours in my car. And in driving that time, you have a lot of time to reflect and a lot of time to think. And I can remember a time way back in the day where I had my basketball coach, Coach Paul Jepson. If any of you know who he was, but he was the basketball coach at Skyline High School. And I can remember that we would come into this, at a timeout or right at the beginning of a game, a basketball game, and we would all put our hand in the middle of the group. And he would always say at the count of three, 1, 2, 3, play to win. And so we'd go 1, 2, 3, play to win. Everybody would repeat, play to win. And I can remember that so vividly. But here's what's so crazy. As a young man back in the day, I didn't realize what he meant by that. I didn't realize that he meant what it meant. And I remember even saying to myself, I wonder what that means, because he never really explained it. But I remember then years later standing on a tennis court, and I was playing against an individual, and I was playing some tennis in my, early 20s, mid 20s, somewhere in there. And as I was playing, I got way ahead on the score and on the match. And as I was sitting back there waiting to receive a serve, it dawned on me at that point is that I was playing not to lose. And all of a sudden, my mind reflected all the way back to the moments of Coach Jepson when he said, play to win. And so I want you to think about for a moment, how are you living life? How are you going about life? How are you moving through things today? And what I mean by that is so many of us are wrapped up in this idea of focusing on not losing that we lose a perspective of how to win. And I have a few statements I've made for years, and I'm going to repeat some of these because I think that they are the ones that matter the most when it comes to winning. So if our objective, if you're taking some notes, which I hope you are, write down that first statement, which is play to win, right? The opposite, which is play not to lose. And I found myself going back to that little tennis match. I apologize, I got a little ahead of myself here. But I remember in that moment, and it dawned on me as I started to lose the match. I started to get to where the guy was starting to catch up. And I remember I said, wait a second, I'm playing not to lose versus playing to win. Changed everything, ended up winning the match, and it was no big deal. But it taught me something. It made me really get the idea that winning is really a strategy. Winning is a focus. Winning is a destination. Winning is a goal. So sometimes people get, this idea that somehow being timid is not being humble. Well, I recently was listening to Jim Rohn, who said, can you have a balance believing that humility has nothing to do with being timid? And the reality is that just because we have this ambition, this drive, this focus, this intensity to win at life, to win in any of the silos and the parts of our life that matter most, does not make us someone who is not humble, who isn't someone who isn't willing to get along with people, someone who isn't willing to give to other people. Just because someone wants to win doesn't mean they're not charitable. Just because they want to win doesn't mean they have to put down other people. Just because they want to win at the game of business and money doesn't make them evil, wrong. We've got to get comfortable with the idea that winning becomes really our habit, right? Winning is a habit just as much as losing is. So what is it that you're doing today to win? What are you doing to conquer and to achieve and to win at the game of any area of your life? Now, most importantly right now, the main focus for me is to make sure you're winning at the game of real estate. But look, there's other areas of our life that we go and all of a sudden we start having some success and we start sabotaging. I can still remember I was coaching some agents years ago. They had a great business going. They were doing several hundred transactions a year. All of a sudden, they had so much success, so many good things happening that boom, all of a sudden, they imploded any and every area of their life. They imploded what they were doing religiously. They imploded what they were doing with their family. They imploded what they were doing with their health. All of a sudden, everything went crazy to sabotage the success of business. So ask yourself, have you sabotaged yourself? Do you have a moment of success and do you keep going? Or do you hold back? Do you fall back? Do you not push forward? Do you not persevere? Do you not conquer? Do you not summit the mountain? For many times that I've hiked a mountain by the name of Kings Peak, the highest mountain in Utah, 13,568 feet. I've summited over 10 different times. And every single time that I'm up there, and no matter who is with me, as I'm about to go to the top, there's 2 false summits just before the top of the mountain. And as I get to the top, get near the top, I always stop. And I like people to turn around first and foremost to look how far they've come. But I have met people who have gone to the first false summit and are so disappointed and sabotaging themselves so deeply that they turn away right then and there. I've been to the second false summit and I'll see someone starting to come down. And I'll say, what was the top like? How was it? And they'll say, oh, you know what? We just couldn't keep going and we turned around. Now I have names I could give you that I have seen go almost to the top and then sabotage and turn away only 100 to 200 feet from the top. Not because of weather, not because of bad conditions, not because of a lack of safety for themselves, but because they sabotage themselves from getting to the top. I want you to think about that for a moment. Are you sabotaging your life? Are you getting close to winning at some portion, some way, some perspective of your life, and then you sabotage it? You ruin it. Think about that, how it happens in friendships, intimacy, relationships, business, economics. Guys, I am here to tell you that we all do it in some fashion, in some way. We push away from the victory, push away from the success, push away from conquering. And some of us are better than others. Some of us persevere no matter what. Some of us have had enough disappointment that we say, you know what, never again. I'm going to the top of the mountain. So I want you to think about this for a moment. If winning is a habit, so is losing. And if you're losing at the game of real estate, what is it about this business right now that you're doing to not win? What are you doing to sabotage? What are you doing to impact your world, your life, your future so that you're not winning? You say, well, no, George, it's not my fault. No, it is your fault if you're not winning right now. It is absolutely your fault if you're not winning, because the first mode of winning. So now start taking some notes here. All right. Number 1, take responsibility. Take responsibility. You know, I love to boat. We've been boating, you know, the little, you know, the ones that, you know, pull the surfboards and pull the wakeboards and skiers and things of that sort. So lots of fun on the water with my family. And I can remember early on when Isaac began to start wakeboarding and the waves would be coming and, you know, and all of a sudden, as he was trying to get up out of the water, he would complain, he would moan about how I didn't pull him up right and how it was my fault. And I remember this so many years ago. And so now even my own kids throw it back at me, which is, Dad, take responsibility. Because what I say always to him and to others, especially if you're in my boat, I always say, no excuses. And I've often wanted to put on the back of the boat, the name of the boat, no excuses. Why? Because people say the sun was in my eyes. The waves were too big. You pulled me out too fast. You pulled me out of the water too slow. No excuses. No excuses. And you say, well, wait, hold on. Well, you know, you can point the blame all around you, but here's the problem with it. Maybe there is things to blame. But the problem is that you can't control any of them. So if you want to win at the game of life, if you want to win at the game of business, you got to take responsibility. If you want to be a winner in life, be responsible. Take responsibility for the down and the up. Take responsibility for when things are great and take responsibility when things aren't so great. And stop pointing the finger, being the victim, blaming other people, saying how it's not fair. And you know what? Here's the problem. Here's the sadness of all that. You probably are right. You're probably right that things aren't fair. You're probably right that there's people to blame. You're probably right. You could blame a governor, a president, the Democrats, the Republicans, the liberals. You could blame every and every person out there. And people say, oh, yeah, you're right. Maybe. But here's the problem. It doesn't change anything in your life when you start blaming everybody else. Nothing changes when you don't take responsibility. Because if you want to win at life, you must take responsibility for everything in your life. If you don't have money, it is your fault. If you don't have business, it is your fault. If you only have one deal happening and it falls apart and you're distressed economically in your family, it's your fault. You say, man, you're like being pretty tough this morning. No, I'm just asking you to take responsibility because it is one of the absolute key factors in winning at the game of life, and that is to take responsibility. You want to win? Take responsibility. At everything, take responsibility. Okay, point one. Point two, boy, I still remember this. And man, I have to tell you, sports are such a great relationship in regards to extraordinary examples of winning and losing. And the observation I have is that if you look at the Olympians, if you look at the athletes that are playing at the highest level of athletics and sports, and you start looking at even young men, young women who are excelling in sports in their youth, it is always this one factor that always seems to be the important one. And that is this. Here's the point. Write it down. Winning is in the details. Winning is in the details. Winning is in the details. If you want to win at the game of real estate, you have to recognize that it's in the details that get you to win. Do you take out a notepad? Do you take out a notepad and step back and say, okay, how do I win at real estate? Do you take your journal out and sit there and ask yourself, how do I win? What are the details to winning? If I don't know the details, do I get a coach involved? Which you should. My goodness gracious, we're coaching nearly 100 different people in ESS or ever sales system coaching. People are being coached left and right, having just like ridiculous amounts of success because they recognize that the winning is in the details. And if you need a coach to help you, if you need another individual to help you, a manager to help you, a friend to help you, someone who knows and has been where you want to go. That is what great leaders do in this business. They get the people around them that help them find the way of the details to winning. So think about this. We talked about responsibility. We've talked about details. Now ask yourself, what else is important in regards to selling real estate? But how do I win at the game of real estate? How do I win? How do I get an edge above everybody else? You may say, oh, well, I don't like to compete. Okay, how do you create above everybody else? Right? There's moments and times for competition. There's moments and times for creation. And the web and the weave of all of that is important. But if you want to win, it's all about details. It's all about responsibility. But what else would have to happen? If you really want to win, what has to happen? Well, write this down. I must elevate my skill sets. And the skill sets I'm specifically talking about are the skill sets of communication. If you want to win the game of real estate at a high level, you have got to be a great communicator. So are you becoming a master communicator, a master salesperson, a person who can communicate to any type of personality, who can communicate to any type of situation and environment, that they can be great communicating at the kitchen table as much as they can communicate sitting on the front living room couch. They can communicate extraordinarily well on a phone as well as they can on a Zoom call. I am here to tell you that if you want to win at the game, you have to improve and you have to elevate your communication skills. So what are you going to do? What's one or two things that you could do to elevate that communication? All right, next point, let's write this down. We all know it, right? We all know that winning is in the details. So what's another piece of the details? Mindset. What is it that you're doing to elevate your mind? What are you doing to elevate the way you believe? What are you doing to elevate your confidence? What are you doing to strengthen, empower? What is it that you're avoiding? What are you doing to elevate it? What are you thinking about? What are you feeling? You know, right? All of these things impact the way we act, which is our mind. Right? What questions are you asking yourself? How are you putting yourself in a place of confidence? Do you clearly know your destination? Do you clearly know what you're grateful for? Are you meditating? Are you praying? Are you exercising? Are you doing things that amplify up the way in which you feel, the way you think, the way you believe, the way your mind is operating today? Look, this is just another piece of the detail. And the fifth component to what I consider to be one of the most important ones in regards to winning is discipline. Discipline. A disciple in certain principles. What are your disciplines? What is it that you're going to do today to take business to another whole level? What activities will you do today that could be the one thing that could change everything in the way in which you operate? How do you operate from that standpoint? What are you doing to elevate the way in which you move, act, breathe in this business? Let's just take simple things. What is the disciplines you have in regards to talking and communicating with people? Guys, is it not at this point is it not clear at this point that the discipline of calling your SOI is paramount to your success? Is it not clear at this point, from the details to your strategies and to the things that you're doing, that it's clear that the disciplines of consistently contacting, communicating with your sphere of influence, your centers of influence, is a key factor to your success in this business? If you want to win at the game of real estate, be the type of agent that brings value, service, love, light to individuals who are in great need of it. That's how you win the game. Now, when I look at winning, I look at the fact if my objective, and I know my destination, and my objective is to win, and that I'm okay with declaring, I will win at real estate. I am a winner. I win at what I do. You say, man, that seems pretty bold. Yeah, that's called an affirmation, right? It's affirming where I'm going to go. It's affirming my victories. It's affirming that I'm going to win. And all of a sudden, if I get to that point in regards to the way in which I take responsibility, I pay attention to the details, I get clear on my skill sets that are needed, I get really dialed in on my mindset, and then I get highly disciplined in the areas of my life to win at this game of real estate, then all about it has something to do with winning, because that's what will be the end result. You will win. You'll win. Now look, I want to talk about, just because, look, we are in a very sensitive time in our nation. We're in a very sensitive time in our communities. We're in a very sensitive time within our lives. There's a few things I want to share with you that I think are very, very important. The first one I want you to write down. We're going to switch gears completely now, right? Look, I want you to win, and I believe what I'm going to share with you is going to help you win as you maneuver and as you move through your day, you move through this week, you move through this month, this quarter, and the rest of this year. I want to ask each one of you to really take a step back and look at the realities. And that is that you have to have this one statement. I hope that you're writing it down, but you need to have emotional discipline. Emotional discipline is never been more needed in today's world than ever before. In some frame, in some way, the ability to emotionally take charge of your life, to not lose your mind in regards to what others are doing, to come from a place of a lot less judgment and a lot more curiosity. That does not mean stand on the side of the banks of the river and never jump in and get into the action or get into the game or sitting on the bench of life. I'm not suggesting that. What I am suggesting is emotional discipline. Emotional discipline in your social media, emotional discipline in your family conversations, emotional discipline with those that are charged and excited and passionate about certain principles. Look, if you really want to be understood, seek to understand other people at a higher level. That's how you win the game. That's what winning is about, is making sure that you truly understand. And how do you understand? It's pretty simple. Statement's simple, hard to do. Ask questions and listen. Look, the good Lord gave you one mouth and two ears, I think probably for a reason, so that you could listen twice as much as you talk, right? Listen. Try to understand where people are coming from. Get to a depth of understanding. Get to a level of curiosity. Emotional discipline. Right now, it's not, here's what's crazy. Sometimes it's not even the message that's the problem. It's not even the timing that's the problem right now. It's the tonality that becomes the problem. Now, I'm not suggesting to be a sheep and to set aside and not to live your values and to impress upon this world what you believe in and hopefully taking them to a positive level. But what I am suggesting is to have control. What I am suggesting is to be emotionally disciplined. What I am suggesting is to ask more questions. What I am suggesting is to listen more. What I am suggesting is to bring a deeper level of care, concern, and understanding like never before. Why? Because that is one of the great skill sets of being a great communicator. It is the ability to truly understand where others are coming from. You want to take more listings? Get to a deeper depth of understanding. You want to put more buyers or sell more homes and put more buyers and deals under contract? Ask more questions. Get to a deeper level of understanding. Second point, I've said this for years and I will say it the rest of my life. Treat everybody you meet as if they are going through the most difficult moments of their lives, and you're going to be right most of the time. I'll repeat that. Treat everybody you meet as if they are going through the most difficult moments of their lives, and you're going to be right most of the time. If there is anything in this world that it could ever need more than ever before, it is the need for kindness. It is the need to truly being kind and coming from an understanding heart as people are going through much difficulty and tragedy. Just because you are not does not mean others aren't. Just because others are struggling does not mean, or others are struggling doesn't mean you have to be. But what it does mean is that it is important that you show deep levels of empathy and understanding. There is no way that I will ever come to the understanding of what it means to be a police officer. And I'm not here to say it just that I understand exactly what someone of color is going through. I'm not suggesting that I know all of the different tragedies of another human being and what they go through. That is not what I'm saying. What I am suggesting is that if you want to be great in sales, you want to be a great citizen of this country, you want to be a great leader around those that you have the privilege and the opportunity to lead, then come from a deep level of understanding and empathy. Get truly down to those grassroots of understanding, knowing where people are coming from. Let them understand that you hear their voice, that you hear where they're coming from. You know what, they're right, and you're right. Maybe there's moments where things can't change. Maybe there's moments where things won't be perfect. Maybe there's moments where things will still seem very difficult, but it should never be that this is coming. And that is that you don't understand where people are coming from, especially those that you're close to, especially those who are your family, especially those who are around. Now, look, a key factor to this thing is this. Just because I don't agree with someone does not mean I don't have to like them. When did we come to a place on this earth where because someone doesn't believe exactly what we believe, our knee-jerk reaction is, I now hate them? Because they believe something politically different, you now hate them. Because they believe something different in their personal beliefs religiously, you now hate them. Because they believe differently in regards to what may be right or wrong to what you believe right, wrong, immediately you hate them. At what point did we shift to a point where we couldn't come from a deep level of understanding and empathy, and that because I can still love you and accept you, even though I may not agree with you? When did the world become so charged that you couldn't love one another just simply because I don't believe what you believe? It's a tragedy. Be the voice of reason in this. Be the voice of empathy, understanding, love, light, and goodness. Treat everybody you meet as if they're going through the most difficult moments of their lives. You'll be right most of the time. You will be right most of the time. Seek to understand before you seek to be understood, right? And accept people for who they are, what they are. Just because I don't believe what you believe does not mean I don't accept you, love you, understand you. That takes great emotional discipline, as I was pointing out. That takes great discipline in our emotions and our mind. And that is what it takes to be a great leader in today's world today. If you want to take your business, you want to take your family, you want to take your relationships up to a whole other level. If you want to eliminate contention, anger, frustration in almost all cases come from a place of understanding, come from a place of emotional intelligence and discipline, come from a place that is willing to accept all people, no matter the color of their skin, no matter their beliefs of what they believe, no matter the philosophies that they come from, to accept them and to love them no matter what. And that is the fact. And as I've said, it is a great tragedy to see the difficulties of the world today, to see the violence that I am so against, to see the rioting, the looting, and the things that are so wrong at so many levels. And there's people who say, well, wait, that's the right thing. No, it's not the right thing. I'm against anything that has hatred, anything that has prejudice, anything that is racist, anything that denounces another religion, another person, another race, another color. It is wrong at every level. And that is why unitedly, every one of us as an organization, as a people, can stand united in love, united in goodness, united in integrity, united in giving and loving and serving and doing the right thing. That is who we are. That is what we are, I believe, at our core. But when we allow ourselves to become unemotionally disciplined, or emotionally undisciplined, saying that wrong, emotionally undisciplined, it gets and goes sideways. When we don't treat people from a place of understanding and empathy and acceptance and love, things go sideways. We have got to come from a place that is deep within ourselves, that shouts and helps us to win at the game of life. And these are principles of winning. And the last thing I want to just echo to you in closing is this. Look, majority of humanity walks through their lives focusing on all of the things that they do not have, focusing on all the places where there's a lack, where there's a shortage, where they don't have something. And the full focus always seems to be on what someone doesn't have. You know, there's the wonderful story of the Acres of Diamonds. And the story was told by a gentleman by the name of Russell Conwell. And Russell Conwell created Temple University. And he had a group of young men, and he wanted to, and they were not rich, they were not wealthy. These young men he was working with, they didn't come from affluent families, and he wanted to make sure they had an education. They wanted to create a university where those who were underprivileged could go and get an education to rise up. Well, in so doing and raising money, he would go around the country to different people of abundance and wealth, and he was raising money. He would tell a story, and this is the story that he would tell. And I certainly will not give it justice to what he did, but here's the story. The story is called The Acres of Diamonds. And what Russell Conwell begins to talk about is a farmer who had a wonderful wife, a beautiful family, and was working on his farm in South Africa. Well, word got out, of course, that there were diamonds everywhere. And as he started to look around his farm, he didn't see any. And so he told his wife and his children he was going to go out and find his fortune. He was going to go find diamonds. Well, he kept after this, kept after it, and kept after it. And finally, you know, as time went on, the wife said, no more of this. I'm not doing that, and left him. And the children didn't want anything to do with him. And he kept looking for diamonds, but to no avail, he did not find any. He lost his farm. He lost everything. He lost his family. He lost his children. He lost eventually his life. The story, which they say is true, they say that he was killed by either hanging or he drowned in a river. I've seen two different episodes of it, but nonetheless, even whether it's true or not true, the man was dead. Well, a few years later, the man who bought his farm one day was in the river on this guy's farm who had passed away. As he's looking down, he sees in the river this odd-shaped rock. He thinks, wow, that's pretty cool rock. Picks it up, looks at it, looks it over, thinks, I'll put that on my mantle. Puts it up on his mantle. Well, he has it up there for several weeks, maybe even several months. And he's a traveler come through. A buddy, a sales guy says, hey, where did you get that rock? He goes, oh, he goes, I got it in our river here on my farm. He goes, do you know what that is? No. He goes, that's a diamond. He goes, it is? He goes, well, those rocks are everywhere around here like that. Anyway, story goes that that very farm became one of the largest diamond mines in the world and extracted millions and millions, if not billions of dollars of diamonds out of this mine just on this little farm. Well, I think you can know where I'm going with this thing. this acre of diamonds. And what that means is that right below this man's very feet, who passed away, lost his family, lost his life, lost his wife, lost his children, lost everything. And yet right below his very feet was the acres of diamonds that he sat and or stood upon and went elsewhere looking for happiness and looking for everything. Gang, challenge to you today, ultimately. Look, you want to win, get into the details. You want to win, take responsibility. You want to win, get your mindset right, get your skill sets right, get your disciplines right. Right? You want to be a true, effective human being in today's society. Look, take a step back and recognize that as you treat everybody as if they're going through the most difficult moments of their lives, you're going to be right. So do everything you can to understand. Do everything you can to show your empathy. And although you'll never be able to truly experience every tragedy and struggle that people are going through, do your best, because I can tell you that when people understand that you're trying to understand, all of a sudden the emotions lessen. The emotions get less. All of a sudden, you could say, quote, party lines or families or friends or loved ones begin to work together because people feel heard and they feel understood. Do not underestimate the magnitude of how important it is from the standpoint of our communication. And as I said, right below you, every one of us is always looking around outside of us for all of our joy and all of our happiness. And we all, at some level in our lives, we will do it. And yet the reality is that that acre of diamonds sits right there. I promise you, in most cases, you can find happiness right where you are standing. You can find happiness within your home, happiness within your business, happiness within your health, happiness within your friendships, happiness within your work and the environment in which you work in. But you have to remember that you have to make a stand. You have to stand still for a moment and look around at the gratitude and the joy that life gives you. And so often we're always looking outside of us for the joy, for the happiness, for someone else outside of us to fix everything. And yet, if we'll just take a step back right where we stand, look around at the acres of diamonds and find all the moments of gratitude that exist, all the special things that are there right now, all the moments that exist that could bring you joy, love, light, and the joy that life can bring, it's sitting right there in front of you. And yet we will overlook it and look everywhere outside of us. Don't allow that to be you. Don't allow it. Don't allow yourself to not go to deep levels of gratitude. Don't allow yourself to not go to deep levels of thankfulness. Feel the gratitude. Think about the gratitude. Write down the gratitude. Express your gratitude to others and to yourself, to your Creator. You have so much to be grateful for that exists in this life today. And yet we will focus on all the things we don't have. When was the last time you said you were just simply grateful that the sun rises every day for you and you do nothing to make that happen? Isn't that a beautiful thing? How about this? Your heart beats and it beats and it beats and it beats and it keeps you alive and you do nothing. You can say, well, I exercise. Okay. Well, I eat right. Okay. But your heart beats independently of you, if that makes sense, as a gift of energy, a gift of life. When was the last time you thought about just looking around at the beauty of humanity? There's so much focus on all the bad things that are happening. There's so many good things that are happening. So many people doing good things. When was the last time you looked at that? When was the last time you took a step back and you really took a step back and said, wow, today I am going to really move my life with great love, light, goodness. I'm going to give of myself. I'm going to give from a place of charity, of my time, my energy, my effort, my economics. You have so much time to do the right thing. Because when you don't have time, it will be like this. And the tragedies and the unfortunateness of watching still tragedies amongst the COVID virus and everything else that's happening, people passing away, accidents occurring, and life is precious, gang. So I hope that you're taking a step back and you're recognizing that, look, I have so much to be grateful for. Today, I choose to focus on what I have, not what I don't have. I choose to focus on the beauty, not the darkness. I choose to focus on the light versus and the love versus the hatred and the pessimism and the destruction. Because here's the deal. Your experience for life will always be what you expect it to be. It always will. And this universe is built to give you everything you want. And I told you I was wrapping up, so I'm going to really wrap up. But here's my last little story. It's a cute little one. I've said it for many times. Some of you have heard of it. Just a good reminder. And here's a reminder. Look, the young little boy who was this little pain in the butt to his parents, and they said, you know what? We're not going to get little Johnny anything for Christmas this year. So all of a sudden, Christmas morning happens, and what they had done the night before is they wrapped up a big pile of manure and put it into a box. And they wrapped it up, a box of manure from a pony, right? Or a jackass, whatever you want to call it, right? I thought, we're going to give this to our son because he's been such a naughty, bad kid. So little Johnny's opening up the package Christmas morning. He's so excited for this package. He's opening it up. He opens it up. He takes a big smell of manure and he jumps up and down and screams and says, you got me a pony, you got me a pony, you got me a pony. His world of optimism, his world of looking for the good. And all of a sudden they were trying to teach him a lesson of how bad he's been. All he could think about is how great life is. And you got me a pony. Because that is a mindset of optimism, a mindset of looking for the good, a mindset of looking to understand, a mindset of winning in the details, the strategy, the mindset, the skill sets, the responsibilities, the disciplines. That's how you win at life. So I hope that every one of you experiences a greater love of life, a greater beauty and light to life. I am not suggesting to you there are not bad things happening. I am not suggesting there are not difficult moments. I am not suggesting that they do not exist. But I can tell you this, in the existence of those dark moments, and in the existence of those challenges, and in the existence of those polluted times, I can tell you this, if you can bring your light and you can bring your love and you can bring your joy to any situation that is dark, it will be better because of it. That is how you win. So if you're done losing, I hope that you will review the things I've shared with you. I hope that you will go back to them often. I hope that you will look at them daily and recognizing that winning can be yours. And I can promise you that if you'll use these principles, these ideas, and these strategies to winning, it's going to get a lot easier. It will get a lot easier. With that, I'll leave you guys. Have an extraordinary day. Remember, nothing about this business you can't learn. Nothing about this business you cannot do. So go for it. Have an extraordinary week. Thank you for your time, and we'll talk soon.